boys and girls, it's Mrs. Rizito. This is just a quick tutorial about how to find your ongoing reader's notebook in Google Classroom. We are going to be using this reader's notebook every single day, whether you're home or in school. So it's really important that you know how to find it and how to add to it. So I'm sharing my screen with you. I'm in Google Classroom and I am currently in the Google Stream. So in order to find my reader's notebook, I need to click on classwork, and over to the left under all topics, you're going to see ongoing writing notebook, which we're going to use later this week, and ongoing reading notebook, which I'm going to click on. And I'm going to open it. And this will now also be in your recent documents for those of you who are really familiar with using Google Docs. But if you need to find it and you don't know how to use your Google Docs and searching recent documents, you would just find it the same way in classwork, in Google Classroom, over to the left-hand side under all topics. So this is your ongoing reader's notebook. This is where you are going to record your thinking about the books that we read. So you would type your name up here. And I'm just going to type Mrs. Rizito, just for an example. And then I'm going to scroll down, because every entry should be a separate page, and you are always going to put your most recent entry on the top, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. It just makes it easier for me to check and see if you recorded your thinking for that day, and so I can give you feedback. So today, you're going to write a stop and jot about the text, the crayon box that talked. Your stop and jot can be something you learned about the story, a question you have about the story, anything. We will learn more about stop and jots this year, but for now you can use the anchor chart below. And I just included a few examples about important story elements that you should stop and jot about when you read. So you can stop and jot about what you wonder about the story, about the events going on in the story. You can stop and jot about what you're thinking. You can stop and jot about what you feel when you read the story, or how the characters feel. So one of the story elements in fiction is or are characters in the story. You can stop and jot your connections or what the character is thinking. So really, your stop and jots can be anything about the story. And remember, story elements are characters, the problem, the solution, the setting, which is where the story takes place. And then what we're going to focus a lot on in fourth grade is theme, which is the lesson of the story. But like I said, that is going to be something we learn throughout the year. Don't worry if that's a little bit confusing for you now. Really, what I want to see you do in your reader's notebook today is just write something that you learned from the text or something that you're thinking. And then there's also some sentence starters in orange underneath each of the things that you can stop and jot about, just to help get you started. So I'm going to show you quickly now where you would write. So I just hit enter on my keyboard, so I'm underneath the anchor chart. If you don't want to be centered like the chart, which means when I start typing, it's going to be underneath the anchor chart, you could go up here where you see my mouse. You'll see the round circle and it says align. If you click on that, you can click over to the left and it will bring your cursor over to the left, and then you can start your jot. So the first thing I see on the stop and jot chart is what they wonder. So good readers stop and jot about what they wonder. And the sentence starters are, I wonder how, why, I have a question about. And then what they think, I think blank because blank, I predict that blank because blank. So I think I'm going to jot down something I'm thinking. So I think that this story teaches readers that it is important to always be yourself because our differences are what makes the world interesting, period. I also think that it is important to accept everyone for their differences, because if we were all the same, it would be boring. Okay, so I just quickly jotted a few sentences to show what I'm thinking. So I used the what they think example from our Good Readers Stop and Jot chart. Okay, so I'm going to erase that now, because when you guys open this document, this is what you're going to see. But all of you are going to have your own that you can edit. And really quick, I want to show you that for tomorrow when you stop and jot, you're actually going to put your cursor in front of the date and just hit enter until you bring today's entry down to page 3, and you'll see the 3 here. And then you can go back up to page 2, click on the top, and then you type the date. So it will be 9/10/2020. And that example is going to be important for my home learners tomorrow too, because you are going to stop and jot in this notebook tomorrow. Okay, so every day you'll make sure that your entry from the previous day is down on the next page. So really you can keep in mind that you're always adding your new entry on page 2. Now I'm just going to delete that, bring everything back up so this is ready for you. And you can always go back to this video if you have any questions about your ongoing reading document or aren't sure about where to find it. And we are all set. I will see you later.